Okay, so basically, the main point that Amanda was trying to make during her affirmative rebuttal was her advocacy for technology in the public schooling system. She thinks that that is the solution to this problem, and one of her solutions that she said was that they can have technology provided by schools in place or along with textbooks. However, I don't really think that could be. Yes, it's possible to happen. I mean, we currently have technology around us in our school systems right now. However, I don't think that the amount of technology that Amanda is asking for would really be achievable because the amount of funding that would have to go behind that would be crazy. I mean, look at the Los Angeles United School Department. They already had to put in $1 billion for their iPads that they wanted every student to have. The amount of money that that would take is ridiculous, and I honestly don't see that happening unless you're planning on making cutbacks to staff or just reducing resources in other areas or having major fundraisers or expecting to have just really large donations coming your way. You have to think about funding for all this technology. Another thing was that another thing that Amanda said was that online services can increase educational productivity. So she essentially is saying that any websites that the students were using would help them productively in their education, but she didn't provide any examples, statistics, or data to back that up. So again, it was just kind of like another statement that she just threw out there. And she did comment on my example of my coworker whose daughter was having issues with in regards to essentially her being able to function with her technology in the classroom. And yeah, that was a specific example that is possibly rare, but the example still does illustrate how students, essentially how students will not necessarily be able to grasp how to use the tools. Instruction will be needed, and some students will need further instruction, and that will result in teachers spending more time devoted to those specific students. Just because you present the technology and you say, okay, here's how it goes, not everyone's going to be able to understand. Those are going to pick it up faster, and then others are going to be slower, and it's just how are teachers supposed to react to that? Should they just shoot down the middle? And if you're kind of behind, you hopefully can catch up sooner. And then if you're ahead, you just feel like the information is dumbed down and you're going too slow. I feel like that would definitely be a problem that Amanda hasn't taken into consideration. Another thing that I commented that Amanda responded to was that I implemented statements about recess, glue, or crayons, essentially, and that those comments were because Amanda stated that at all levels, students deserve fair statements, and she failed to properly define and provide clarification as to which grade she was identifying in that statement. She didn't really ever end up saying, okay, we're only talking about K through 12. So I was confused as to whether or not she wanted college students to have the same fairness that kindergarten teachers are presented. There wasn't a clarification as to all levels within one grade or anything like that. That did come later on throughout this one. So that was essentially where I was confused with her statement. And during the cross-examination, Amanda did discuss her belief about fairness. She did believe that in order to be fair, students with disabilities would need to be segregated. However, I disagree. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the definition of fair is treating people in a way that does not favor some of their others. So, in order for students to be treated fairly, they must be all under the same conditions, and they must be all taught the same material specifically, and you can't show any favoritism or just swaying to the side for another. So by placing students in a separate classroom, that's treating them unfairly, regardless of whether they are blind, whether they are hearing impaired, regardless of whether they're less affluent than their peers in the next classroom, like I stated, regardless of whether or not they have mental or physical handicaps, they should be in the same room. That if she truly wants fairness, she would place them in the same room. If they were all treated at the same level, under the same circumstances, then they would be fair. However, by adapting curriculum for a specific group of students and pulling them into a separate environment to learn that information, that itself is unfair. Additionally, another thing that Amanda was talking about was another thing that I feel like Amanda neglects to acknowledge is the fact that doing so takes away from focus. Technology is just a large distraction that would be provided to students, such as Barbara Jones's LAUSD's iPad problems frustrate those involved in the 1 billion technology project that was provided by the LA News. It essentially said that there was a problem with a breach in technology, that the iPads that the students were essentially using, they had been breached, and students were using them for Facebook or YouTube, and these are problems that would arise if we included more technology. So for these reasons, I don't agree with Amanda's statement that fairness and technology are the solutions to solving the education problem.